Shabbat shalom and glory and honor and power and strength and blessing be to the Father, Yahweh, the Most High of the universe, the creator of all things that live, the original life giver, the origin of what is righteousness and wisdom and understanding, eternal life. Father Yahweh and his Son, the anointed one from him, Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, who was born and begotten by the Father's Spirit as the line of the tribe of Judah, of the 12 tribes of Israel, created by the Father and called before the foundation of the planet. Honor and glory to the Lamb. Greetings to the 12 tribes called by the Father, and according to the prophecies of this book, scattered into the four corners of the earth through slavery and oppression because of the worship of false gods, and now awakening, and to the 144,000 among them, along with the Gentiles who have chosen to take up the cause of the Father and to join with the scattered flock of the true children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Greetings. Greetings to the chat, Brother Mark, Imana Prakash, Brother Diamond Holdings, Brother Gary Joseph, Brother Chaplain Lewis, Brother Castle King Ruel, Brother Art Mar, Brother Azariah Ba Israel, Brother Arkawan Banya, Sister Castro, Only One Way and all others. Greetings, Brother Sadat, greetings and blessing and Shabbat Shalom to all of you in these last days of the history of Babylon. We have been studying Deuteronomy, and now tonight we're, by the grace of the Most High, going to be looking at Deuteronomy chapter 13, another very powerful chapter. Another very powerful chapter that, as other chapters we have read in this beautiful book called Adabarim, these be the words, otherwise known as Deuteronomy. This book is not only the teachings, which it is, not only the history, which it is also prophetic. Prophetic with regard to the bloodline children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which we are, the bloodline children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So it's prophetic about us, who the Father calls his servants, who, for whom, and through whom Messiah came and paid the penalty of sin, and is returning again to gather not only all of his chosen ones, the servants, but all from all nations who cling to the perfect righteousness of Father Yah. We are going to start tonight in Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5. Praise the Most High for his Spirit. The Spirit of the Father that he gives to us is what gives us life, what awakens us, what guides our steps, what guides us through his word. Please, brother, read his word. Start in Genesis and go through all the way to Revelation. And once you have done it, do it again. Praise the Most High. Let your Father, the creator of you and of heaven and earth and all that in them is, let his Spirit guide you. Praise his Most High for his Spirit. Galatians chapter 5. I'm going to begin at verse 1. And I'm going to read through this entire chapter, which is a short chapter. I mean, they're all really short when you really think about it. The Bible, especially the New Testament, is full of a lot of letters, very small ones most of the case. So here's another one. Galatians, it's the Apostle Paul, the tribe of Benjamin. It's his letter to the converts of the way at Galatia. Chapter 5, divided into the fifth division here, beginning at verse 1 and reading down. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Messiah hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Most unfortunately, Christianity, who many of us Israelites are coming out of, praise the Most High, by the power of the Father Spirit of this book. Christianity oftentimes describes this yoke as the law of the Most High. So in other words, what they are teaching is that the same Father who thundered the 10 commandments to his chosen ones at Mount Sinai, saying, I am Yahweh your Most High, which have brought you out of the land of Egypt and out of the house of bondage. That same God took that same thunderous covenant and nailed it to a wooden cross that his son hung on. That's what they're teaching. So the yoke of bondage that they teach is Father's covenant, which the Bible teaches is Father's covenant. But what is really the yoke of bondage? What is bondage? The Messiah teaches us, our teacher, the Lion of the tribe of Judah teaches us in John chapter 8, whosoever committeth sin is a servant of sin. So I think we can safely say that sin is bondage. Because he said, whosoever committeth sin is the servant or slave of sin. And he said, the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. And he said, if the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. So that the Son, Messiah, the anointed of Father Yah, has been set forth to help set us free from bondage of sin. What is sin according to this book? The definition of sin according to the word of the Most High is found in 1 John chapter 3, I believe it's verse 4, where it says, sin is the transgression of the law. So that the transgression of Father's word, of his law, of his commandments, leads to bondage. Therefore, what we just read, according to what this book teaches us, to be set free from bondage is to be set free from sin. To be set free from sin is to be set free from transgression of Father's law. How does that freedom, how does the Son make us free? First, he said in that same teaching in John chapter 8, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And the Messiah talked to his Father in prayer in John 17 and said that they might know thee, the only true God, and Yahushua Messiah, whom you have sent. So truth is the Father. Truth is his word. Truth is his commandments. Truth is his righteousness. Truth is everything the Father says in word and in written word and in the spirit word, which is completely agree with each other. Truth is Messiah. So he said, truth sets you free from sin. The Son gives you the spirit of truth. So therefore, here he says, stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Messiah hath made us free. And be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage, the yoke of sin. Also, of course, as you read through here, you will see any man-made commandments of a religious nature is bondage. Any man-made religion is bondage. Any man-made worship is bondage. Therefore, the freedom we are set forth from is man-made religion, man-made worship, man-made commandments. And so Messiah sets us free from man-made authorities. And we stand fast in the truth of the Spirit and word given through Messiah. So that what was nailed to the cross of Messiah was all man-made religion, all man-made institutions. That was nailed to his cross. What does nailed to the cross mean? Messiah is the Lamb of Yah that taketh away the sin of the world. Therefore, his blood was shed to set us free, his people, from man-made religion, from man-made worship, to bring us back to the only true God, his Father Yah. Let's keep reading. Galatians chapter 5, from verse 2 down to verse 6. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if ye be circumcised, Messiah shall profit you nothing. For I testify again to every man that is circumcised that he is a debtor to do the whole law. Messiah is become of no effect unto you, whosoever of you are justified by the law. Ye are fallen from grace. For we through the Spirit wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. For if in Messiah Yahushua neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but faith which worketh by love. So is he doing away with the law here? I want you to notice this very key part of what we just read. He said, Messiah is become of no effect unto you, whosoever of you are justified by the law. So we saw in Acts chapter 15 that Gentiles that come to Messiah don't need to be circumcised. Why? Did not the Father tell Abraham, all your seed and all that are bought by your money is to be circumcised? How come Gentiles are not to be circumcised or don't need to be circumcised to receive righteousness? When the Bible says Abraham believed Yah and it was accounted him for righteousness. And circumcision was a sign of that righteousness. But the circumcision was given only, that's right, only to the Hebrew bloodline. It was not given to Gentiles. The circumcision is given to differentiate Abraham's bloodline children from the rest of the folks. So here in Galatians, he's dealing with converted Gentiles. And he's telling them, you guys were not given any command to be circumcised. You are not declared innocent if you get circumcised. That's what justification means, by the way, to be declared innocent. So that the circumcision and obedience to the commandments of Yah does not cause you to be declared innocent from your sin. Messiah causes you to be declared innocent from your sin. That is the Messiah, the line of the tribe of Judah. He causes you to be declared innocent from your sin because he paid the penalty for your sin, you Gentiles. Yes, you're connecting through Messiah with the commonwealth of Israel. You're worshiping the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But you were not called to be circumcised. In fact, he says you're fallen from grace. What does that mean? You are not called to be circumcised like the bloodline is. And so he is bestowing upon you the Father's perfect righteousness as an act of grace. And you're saying, I need to be circumcised to earn that grace. And Paul is saying, if you say that, you are falling from the grace, because it's not grace if you got to earn it. You understand? It's not grace if you have to earn it. So he's not doing away with the commandments of Yah. He's doing away with being declared innocent from your sin by keeping the commandments of Yah. Does that make sense? And I always tell people, because in America, I don't know about other countries, but in the United States of America, people break the speed limit every day. Am I lying? See, y'all know I'm telling the truth. If you drive a car and you're on an American highway, there is a high probability that you're going to be going faster than the posted speed limit. Okay? So if you've ever been pulled over by a police officer because you've been driving past the speed of the posted limit, okay? Listen, have you ever been pulled over by an officer of the law because you've been driving past, it said 55 and you were doing 70. It said 70 and you were doing 100. And I see that in Florida all the time. Okay. Have you ever been given grace? Has the officer ever came up to you and said to you, did you realize you were speeding? And you said, yes, I realized I was speeding. And he said, okay, I'm going to let you go this time. Does that mean you continue speeding? Does that mean you continue speeding because he gave you what? Grace? Does that mean your obedience going forward of the speed limit means you know that earns you the right for him to forgive you? No. He should be writing you a ticket. You should be paying a fine. But he decided to give you grace. He decided he's going to go back to his boss and say, okay, I didn't write that ticket. I gave him a chance. And his boss is going to say, all right, I'll let that go because you gave him a chance. You'll see the analogy here? That's exactly what's going on here. Messiah is paying the penalty for your speeding. He should be writing you a ticket, but he's giving you grace. And he's decided to pay your fine. That does not give you the right to say, I'm going to keep speeding. Neither does it give you the right to say, I can just speed every time I want because he's going to just pay for me. Right? And all the times you didn't speed means nothing because the day that you did. Does that make sense? So all the days you didn't speed, you were obeying the speed limit, that don't mean anything the day that you speed. Because the day that you speed, you just broke the law. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Exactly. So when he says here, whosoever you are justified by the law, you're falling from grace. That's not doing away with the commandments. That's saying you are not declared innocent from your sins if in the future you obey the law. Okay, let's continue. Verse 5, I'm going to read from verse 5. We through the Spirit wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. Now, brethren, I keep telling y'all, and I'm going to say it as long as the Father puts it in my heart to say it. This is the most important doctrine in the Bible. Righteousness by faith. And it's unfortunate that many of our awakening Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters don't know this doctrine. And there are many that are out here trying to teach Bible without it. And it is a waste of time. To understand you're supposed to keep the law, statutes, and commandments and not understand righteousness by faith is a waste of time. You're going to just be frustrated. You're going to end up with a bunch of frustrated people arguing with each other, fighting each other, becoming carnal. That's what happens when you're trying to do it in your own strength. When you do it like without righteousness by faith, what you are doing is called righteousness by works. With righteousness by works, you don't need Messiah because you're doing it yourself. And you're declaring yourself justified because you're wearing tassels, because you got a long beard, or because you wear your camp's uniform. That's dumb. What righteousness by faith teaches is that your obedience comes as a result of repentance and your Father's Spirit. And the reason your obedience is accepted is because of the perfection Father covered you with. Not because you're doing it, because Father covered you with his own righteousness. That's why you're accepted. You should never forget that. You should never forget that. That keeps the true converted sinner humble, because the true converted sinner knows there is no way I deserve to be forgiven. There is no way I deserve perfection to be given to me. But it is, because that's the only way we can bring glory to the Father. The only way you and I can bring glory to the Father is by righteousness by faith. That is the righteousness of the Father given to us through Messiah. The Messiah's faith is perfect righteousness of the Father. And he bestows that upon us, causing us to be justified, causing us to be declared innocent. And with that declaration, now we go forward in obedience. But it's not our obedience, it's the Father's Spirit that causes us to be obedient. Let me give you some witnesses. All right. Of course, some witnesses. Ezekiel, my favorite one, is in Ezekiel. A couple of them, but it's the same thing. It says in Ezekiel chapter 11. Ezekiel chapter 11. Ezekiel chapter 11 from verse 19. Ezekiel chapter 11 from verse 19 down to verse 20. Ezekiel 11, 19 to 20. That's right. The brother Zeke. That's right. And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give them a heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes and keep my ordinances and do them. And they shall be my people, and I will be their God. See? I will give them one heart and put a new spirit. See? So it's the Father giving us the spirit, the new heart. That's in the New Testament. It's called born again. And that born again experience of the Father's Spirit causes us to be obedient. Okay? Causes us to be obedient. Okay? It's not because we earned it. It's not because we deserve it. It's because of the Father's Spirit. Let's go to Exodus. Let's go to Moses. Exodus chapter 34. Let's go to Moses as another witness. Exodus chapter 34. I'm going to begin at verse 27. And I'll go from verse 27 down to verse 30. Exodus 34, 27 to 30. And Yahweh said unto Moses, write thou these words, for after the tenor of these words, I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. And he was there with Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. And it came to pass when Moses came down from the Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of testimony in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mount, that Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him. Now, why was Moses' skin shining with the 2 tables of that bondage in his hands? Why was Moses' face shining with the 2 tables of bondage in his hands? Because he was filled with the Father's Spirit. And there's no coincidence. He had the Father's Spirit with him as he's carrying the obedience to the covenant. In the mouth of 3 witnesses. Let's get Brother Paul. who we're reading about right now. Let's get Brother Paul in Romans chapter 3. Romans chapter 3. Romans chapter 3, going to begin at verse 20 of Romans chapter 3 from verse 20. I'm going to go from verse 20 to verse 25 of Romans chapter 3. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. But now the righteousness of Yah without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. Even the righteousness of Yah, which is by faith of Messiah, Yahweh Shai, unto all and upon all them that believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of Yah, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Messiah Yahweh Shai, whom Yah has set forth to be a propitiation through faith in his blood, to declare his righteousness for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of Yah. Yes. Yes. Righteousness by faith, the faith of Messiah. The most important doctrine in the Bible. And that's why I listen to brothers sometimes, and it's hard. Some people send me stuff to listen to from other people, and it's hard for me to listen sometimes. When I don't hear this, it's like watching a blind person trying to find the light switch. Because without the Spirit of the Father's perfect righteousness, this obedience is impossible. Let me say that again for emphasis, okay? Without the Spirit of the Father's perfect righteousness, obedience is impossible. So all the beard growing, all the tassel wearing, all the marching will not render obedience that's acceptable to the Father. Only perfection is accepted. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. Except your righteousness exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall no wise be saved. Those are the words of Messiah. So how can your righteousness exceed the righteousness of scribes and Pharisees? How can you be perfect? You can't. But your Father is. If the Son, therefore, shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. There is no greater doctrine in the Bible than this, because there is no way for us to render the obedience Father requires without this. And we must render obedience. We must. Revelation. I can give you more witnesses, but the Father, sometimes, our Father in heaven, as I'm teaching, he just brings things to my spirit, and I have to share what he brings me. And I don't plan any of it. People have asked me in the past, can I get your notes? I don't have any notes. I know it sounds crazy. I never have any notes, ever. The Father always just tells me what to say. And sometimes I have an idea what I think I wanted to say, and sometimes he'll let me go with that for a little while, and then he does what he wants me to do. So here's one of them things. Revelation chapter 22. Revelation chapter 22, verse 14. Revelation chapter 22, verse 14. Revelation 22, 14. That's why I say to you, brothers, read your Bible. Start in Genesis. Go through the Revelation. Don't worry about how much your intellectual capability is able to grasp everything. It's okay. Because the Father will bring to your spirit and to your heart what he wants you to learn. And he will bring to your spirit and to your heart what he wants you to say when it's time. Always remember that. Revelation 22, 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life. We don't have any right to the tree of life without obedience. And we don't get any obedience without the Father's Spirit. One more. Sorry. Revelation chapter 19. Revelation chapter 19. Revelation 19, verse 7 and 8. Revelation 19, verse 7 and 8. Revelation chapter 19, verses 7 and 8. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. What's the fine linen? For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. I can't go wash my clothes and make them white enough to wear that. I need righteousness to make. You remember Messiah came from the mountain after the cloud came, and the Bible says his clothes became white and glistening. Because the Father's Spirit was on that mountain with them, and the cloud came down and said, "This is my beloved Son. Hear him." Back to Galatians. Don't worry, we're going to be in Deuteronomy in a minute. Back to Galatians. We got some things to cover first. Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5. Beginning at verse 7. Galatians chapter 5 and reading down from verse 7. Ye did run well. Who did hinder you that ye should not obey the truth? See, when you start to look at you instead of Father, when you start to depend on your works instead of Father's Spirit, you're no longer running in the truth. And guess what? This is even worse. You lose all your power. You lose all your power. When you're dependent on the Spirit of your Father's perfect righteousness, you have unlimited power. Unlimited power. Power you don't even know you have. How, Father will test it for you. He bring you into places that you know you would fall, and all of a sudden you didn't fall. How come you didn't fall? Because that power is with you. Because you're dependent on it. Whereas when you're thinking you're obeying the commandments without the perfect righteousness of your Father, when you think that you're obeying the command without his Spirit, you're going to be very sad when you fall. You're going to feel very bad. And you're going to be frustrated. You know what? That's why unfortunately, a lot of our brethren of the Hebrew Israelite bloodline are losing their faith because they're walking with brothers that are teaching them other than what I just told you. Either teaching them that the New Testament is not inspired. Can you understand why that is foolishness now with this doctrine? And it will cause people's faith to be shipwrecked, as the Bible calls it, shipwrecked. Because they'll be disappointed in trying to obey commandments that their flesh cannot obey. Not without the Father's Spirit. With the Father's Spirit, you have unlimited power to be obedient. But without the Father's Spirit, it's a fruitless exercise, a futile exercise, a frustrating exercise that causes people to be bickering and fighting and enemies with each other. And causes people to take liberties of the flesh. In fact, let's keep reading. From verse 8 down to verse 16. This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. I have confidence in you through the Master that you will be none otherwise minded, but that he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be. And I, brethren, if I yet preach circumcision, why do I suffer persecution? Then is the offense of the cross ceased. They were even cut off, which trouble you. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one of another. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. You see, he's telling you to walk in the Spirit and you'll be obedient. You won't the lust of the flesh brings sin. Sin is transgression against the law. Therefore, if you're walking in the Spirit, you are in harmony with the Father's law, because it's not because of what you do, it's because of what he has given you. And what he has given you is his spirit of power. And he accepts that righteousness that he places on you as perfect obedience. Okay. Verse 17. From verse 17 down to verse 21. Watch what it says. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary one to another, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law. Now, again, let me explain that. That doesn't mean you just don't obey the law. Under the law doesn't mean you don't obey the law. When he says you are not under the law, what he's saying is you're not under the condemnation of the law. Because when you're disobedient, you are what? Condemned. Sin is condemnation. Let's keep reading. Now, the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery. Does the Bible say thou shalt not commit adultery? Is that a law? It is. See? Fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of which I tell you before, as I have told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So he's not doing away with the law. He's doing away with condemnation. Lasciviousness is like an orgy. Okay? It's like an orgy. I think that explains it pretty well. It's like an orgy. Yeah. Yeah. An orgy is disrespectful. It's disrespectful. It's disrespecting your own body. And if you're doing an orgy with 2 or 3 or whatever, it's disrespecting the act of sex that the Father gave you. The act of sex is created for a man to give his spirit and a woman to give her spirit and body to each other in a private, quiet setting. In a setting that belongs to them too. To go buck wild like the children of Israel did when they were at the bottom of the mountain and they was all naked when Moses came down. Remember, I said they was all naked. They sat down to eat and rolled up the plate. They were doing orgies in front of the golden calf. That's right. That's what lasciviousness is. See? The act of sex is a beautiful gift from the Most High, but it is not a gift to be shared with 1 man and 10 women or 5 women or 2 women. It's not like that. That's disrespect. That's like what dogs do. Even dogs don't do it like that. Even dogs don't do it like that. But a man giving his body and spirit to his woman and his woman giving her body and spirit to him, there's very few things on the earth more beautiful than that. But lasciviousness is like an orgy. Okay? Praise the Most High. So he's saying if you're walking in the spirit, guess what? You're going to be obedient. You're not going to dishonor your own body because your body belongs to the Father. You're not going to dishonor the spirit that he gave you because it's his spirit that you asked for. It's his spirit that's going to bring you to obedience. Does that make sense, brother? Okay. There you go. Okay. Now, let's move forward. Now, so we see that obedience is a function of walking in Yah's spirit. We see that as a result of obedience, you do not practice. Among the things we saw there, one of the things we saw was what? Idolatry, right? I am Yahweh, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, that is in the earth beneath, that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not serve them, nor bow down thyself, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, your Most High, am a jealous God. Right? So idolatry is no. Right? So that's why, brethren, as the people of the last days, the servants of Yah, what are we looking for? We're looking for this, for the seal in our foreheads. The seal is in our foreheads, inside our brain, his spirit sealing us in perfect righteousness. Therefore, 666, the beast, the dragon, and the false prophet will not be able to deceive us, will not be attractive to us, no matter what they do. They won't be attractive. You know, for example, my wife and I, when we went to Mexico, in Mexico, the northern tribes are the original inhabitants of Mexico, some of the northern tribes of Israel. And what happened, the Spaniards sent the Catholic Jesuits to Mexico to convert the northern tribes. So that when you go to Mexico, in every town, man, and even suburbs of a city, they have a town square. They call it the center, right? And every center has a giant Catholic church, a giant Catholic church. And they're beautiful structures, man. Unbelievable. Like you be like, this is a poor area, and this colossal building will be right in the middle of the square. And they'll usually have it like beautifully bricked up, and they'll have like a court area. And it's usually and every place have it. Every place we went to in Mexico, or what we've seen on YouTube of other places we want to visit in Mexico, they all have it, no matter where you go. Like we went to Guadalajara, and there were like 5 or 4 suburbs, towns around Guadalajara. Every one of them had it. We went to Ajijic, it had it. We went to Chapala, it had it. No matter where we went, it had this. You always could find the center, and in the center was this giant cathedral. And them buildings are beautiful. And brothers and sisters, when they play them organs, that's beautiful music, man. I ain't gonna front. That's beautiful music. But it's to the devil. You think the devil gonna make his stuff not beautiful? The great whore was beautiful. John was admiring what she looked like. And the angel said, what you looking at her like that for? Isn't that right? The angel said, why you marveling at her? Because she was fine, probably. You understand? So the devil gonna make his stuff attractive. But when you have the seal of the Father in your forehead, even if attractive it is, it doesn't draw you, because the Father's righteousness is keeping you, and you are going to be faithful to him. Okay, let's go to Daniel. Daniel chapter 3. Daniel chapter 3. Because Daniel chapter 3 is the example of 666. Most people don't realize it. You will see all of the elements. When we read Revelation 13, you see what? A beast, right? You see a beast there. You see an image. And you see the theme of worship. And they worship the beast. They worship the beast, which had the deadly wound, and they worship the dragon. And then there was another beast came up out of the earth, had all the power of the first beast, and caused the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, and created an image to the beast. And whosoever would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, right? So you see a beast, you see an image, you see worship. Well, you're going to have all the same elements in Daniel chapter 3. You're going to see a beast, that's Nebuchadnezzar. You're going to see an image, and you're going to see worship. Same 3 elements. Okay? Man-made, man-made, man-made. Okay? Watch. Daniel chapter 3. Daniel chapter 3. Beginning at verse 1. Daniel 3, beginning at verse 1. Going down to verse 18. Daniel 3 from verse 1 to verse 18. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. See all that entertainment, getting them ready for worship? And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshiped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. The southern kingdom of Judah was accused. What were they accused of? They spake and said to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, has made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whosoever falleth not down and worship it, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Would you worship the golden image? You're looking at the furnace. It's hot. It's going to incinerate you. You know, the type of incinerators they use to put garbage in. They got one of those. If you don't worship, you going in. What you going to do? You better hope you seal with the Father's Spirit. Verse 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image that thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image that I have set up? Now, if you be ready, at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hand? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this manner. If it be so, our Most High, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Now, let me explain why the image today is not an actual image in terms of a physical golden statue. Because in this same book of Daniel, it says that the king of the north, which is the Catholic Church, shall worship a God that his fathers knew not. And he shall honor this God with gold and silver and precious things. And he said, in fact, let's read it. Same Daniel. Daniel chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11. I'm going to start at verse, talking about the Pope here, the office of it in the Catholic Church. Beginning at verse 37 in Christianity. Beginning at verse 37 and go down to verse 39. Daniel chapter 11, verse 37 to 39. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, a God whom his fathers knew not, shall he honor with gold and silver and precious stones and precious things. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. When they went to Mexico, or the land that's now called Mexico, when they went to the land that's now called Judah, when they went to the land that's now Panama, when they went to the land that's Puerto Rico, when they went to the land that's Haiti and Dominican Republic, when they went to the land that's Bermuda, when they went to the land of St. John, when they went to the land of Brazil, when they went, what was the religion? They divided the land for gain, did they not? When they came to the land that is now the United States of America, what was the religion that all of them worshiped, that they divided the land for gain? What was the God that their fathers knew not, that all of them worshiped? All of the slave catchers, all of the Ku Klux Klan, all of the kidnappers of the Hebrews worshiped this God. That's right, Christianity. Christianity is the God that their fathers knew not. So now the statue is not a literal golden statue. The statue is an institution. Remember, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against what? Principalities and powers. Against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Against what? Spiritual wickedness. It's an institution. So the beast is an institution, and the image of the beast is an institution. And they both demand what? Worship or death. The only way you and I are not going to worship is if we know who the only true God is. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Father Yahweh. That's the only way we're going to know not to worship this false God. Just like Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, otherwise known as Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro, they didn't worship the false God of Babylon. Y'all understand? That's why it's 666. The beast, the dragon, the false prophet. Got it? Actually, you're right. Joe Curry is right. But Islam is actually an offshoot of Catholicism, because Khadijah, the first wife of Muhammad, was a Catholic. Most people don't know that. Khadijah, the first wife, was much older than him. She was a businesswoman, and she was a Catholic. That's where Islam came from. That's why they have the same what? Rosary beads, right? There you go. God that their fathers knew not, but you're right. Yes, same thing. The beast, the dragon, the false prophet. It's an institution. Okay? It's an institution. Okay. Brings us to Deuteronomy chapter 13. Deuteronomy chapter 13. Yes, Deuteronomy chapter 13. Now, we know now from our studies that Father requires obedience. That the first commandment is don't have no other gods. Don't worship no image. Don't worship no other gods, no institutions, no shapes of crosses or bricks, no humans, right? Okay. Deuteronomy 13. Beginning at verse 1. Reading from verse 1 down to verse 5. Deuteronomy 13, 1 to 5. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder. Listen now. And the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For Yahweh your Most High proveth you to know whether ye love Yahweh your Most High with all your heart and with all your soul. Ye shall walk after Yahweh your Most High and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice. And ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death. because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahweh, your Most High, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which Yahweh thy Most High commanded thee to walk in. So thou shalt put the evil away from the midst of thee. Now, I am not advocating that anybody that worships a false god, you're supposed to put them to death. I am not advocating that, because we are in captivity. He's given this to our fathers as they're going into the promised land, right? So they're going to the promised land, and he's telling you, when you get there, don't let nobody turn you to other gods. Well, what does that mean to us as we're in captivity, though? We are not to worship other gods, because this is how strongly our God feels about that. We're not to worship other gods, right? And he said, even if they have a dream or they tell you some psychic thing and it comes to pass, but they're telling you don't worship your only true God and keep his covenant. No, there's another God out there. He said he sent it to you to test you, so that above the sign of some psychic telling you the future, you're going to meet this person. This is what the person going to look like. This is, and it comes to pass. Don't listen to that person as far as obedience to Yah's commandments. Are you hearing what I said? Are you hearing what the word said? Right. So if and listen, it said, it started, if there arise among you. That's important words right there. When he said that arise among you, remember, Judas was a black man. Judas was a black man. Why does that matter? Because it's going to always be somebody you think you can trust. Always somebody that speaks your language, understands your culture, knows where you're coming from, that's going to come at you with falsehood. That is why, brethren, above all things, above everything, we believe the word of the Most High. See? Believe the word. Above all things, above whatever you see, feel, taste, touch. And you know, I heard a former Muslim that became a Christian. This is 30 years ago. He said that most black men won't believe anything unless they can taste it, put it in a pocket, or make love to it. And I thought to myself, man, how far have we fallen? He said they won't believe in anything unless they could taste it and touch it, put it in a pocket like money, or make love to it. They don't want to hear it. And brothers, it's true. Unless you know the word of the Most High, unless you are following his spirit. And he's telling you here, if somebody arises from among us and say, I had a dream, and the dream comes to pass exactly as he had it. And he says, you know, we shouldn't be obedient to this thing. There's another way aside from this here. He's telling you, no. He said he sent that man to test you. Whether you, what did he say? He said, thou shalt not hearken to the words of that prophet, verse 3, or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your Most High proveth you to know whether ye love Yahweh Most High with all your heart, with all your soul. It's a test. Father Yah loved it. The Bible calls it trying us. He loves to try us. Search me, O Yah, with all my heart, with all my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. The Bible says he trieth us every day. He's always trying us, always testing us. Yep, just like a cobra. Just because they get a lot of money and they say they're in a spirit, if it goes against thus saith the Most High Yahweh, he's testing you. He's testing you. No matter if they look like you, if they come from where you come from, if they understand your culture, if they cook the same foods and they supposed to be down with you, if they're not obedient to this word by the power of the Spirit, if they're not obedient to this covenant, Let's keep reading. Watch. It gets even deeper. Watch. Deuteronomy chapter 13. From verse 6 down to verse 10. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thy own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers. It ain't the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Namely, the gods of the people which are around you, nigh unto thee or far off from thee, from one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him. Neither shall thine eye pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him, but thou shalt surely kill him. Thine hand shall be the first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he hath sought to thrust thee away from Yahweh thy Most High, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. See, no, we don't have license to kill people in our enemy's land, but it shows you how serious the Most High is about worshiping other gods. Do you understand? That's why he says, if any man worship the beast or his image, or receive his mark in his right hand or his forehead, he said, the same shall drink of the wrath of Yah. Now, why does he? Because people are worshiping other gods all day long, 24/7. So why is he not saying that like right now? Why is it not right now? Let me tell you why. Because it's not by force. See, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah was by force. Remember, they were threatened. They said, if you don't worship this statue, we throwing you in the fire. That's when the decree from Father Yah comes forth. So the 666, the mark of the beast, will come by force. Most people would choose it. Most people are brainwashed to choose their own bondage. That's no doubt. Most people in today's Babylon society are brainwashed to choose their own bondage. The Bible word sets you free. Stand fast there within the liberty wherewith the Messiah had made you free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. The Spirit of the Father makes us free. See, most people choose their own bondage, but because of the Hebrew Israelites that are going to recognize who they are and are now awakening, and the Gentiles that come to this truth with them, because we'll be cognizant of who the true God is, because we'll be cognizant of obedience to his commandments, and we will refuse to follow the crowd. We're going to stand up. People are going to tell on us. It's going to be just like he said here, your brother, the son of your mother, your son, your daughter, your wife, your friend, your best friend. All of them going to say, this brother right here, he live at this place. He's not following what we were all supposed to be doing. He's not doing it. She's not doing it. My son, my daughter, they're going to get, I'm not having them get me in trouble. So they're not doing it. Your cousin, that's my cousin. I grew up with him, but I'm telling you, he's going crazy. He's in this cult. He's not doing, I'm not going to get in trouble because of him. It's coming, brethren. It's coming. Okay? That's why the word tells us we need the seal of Yah in our foreheads. We need Yah's seal in our foreheads. Because it's only by the Father's power, and I mean power, that's going to cause us to be strong. That's what caused Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah to be strong. Can you imagine? All the leaders of the Babylonian kingdom were out there. Babylon, the most powerful kingdom, the head of gold of the four kingdoms that put Judah in bondage, that kingdom had all of its leaders out there. All of the powerful, all of the well-known, all of the money was out there. And these brothers said, we're not bowing. That's the Father's spirit. It kept them. And the way they answered the king was, if you read Nebuchadnezzar's story in the Bible, he would roast kings in fire. Like he would turn them and roast them like there was a lamb on a stick. That's what he would do to his enemies. Skin them sometimes. He would do stuff like that. So these three brothers said, we're not careful to answer you. Our God can deliver us from your furnace. And if he chooses not to, we still not going to worship him. That's power. That's power, brother. That's power. Okay. And we need that power to be able to stand. That's why Messiah said, having done all, right, to stand. Okay, having done all, in that same verse talking about we don't worship, we don't fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the powers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. He said, make sure you're wearing the whole armor of Yah, and having done all to stand. That's the Father's Spirit. Spirit, truth, righteousness, peace from the Father Yah. Okay. All right. Deuteronomy 13, verse 11. From verse 11 to verse 15. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. If thou shalt hear say in one of thy cities, which Yahweh thy Most High have given thee to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods which ye have not known. And thou then shalt thou inquire and make search and ask diligently, and behold, if it be true, and the thing certain that such abomination is wrought among you, thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. He's not playing, brethren. You see, we in our enemy's land, but he is now awakening us. We don't need to be going to somebody's false worship. We don't need to be going to somebody's white Jesus. We don't need to be going to bow to somebody's stone in the middle of the desert 3 days, 5 times a day. We don't need that. We don't need no Talmud. We just need the Father's word and his spirit. That's what we need. That's it. Very simple. We need repentance toward the Father Yah in the name of the Messiah. And he will bless us. He will guide us and direct our paths. Very simple. It's not complicated, brethren. And some of us going to be delivered from bondage. Some of us may have to die. But all of us that's going to be martyrs or stand firm for the word of the Most High, the word is going to be spread and others will be saved as a result of it. That's why he said, all Israel shall hear and fear. See, brethren, never forget, your obedience in the Father's righteousness is for the glory of the Father. And when the Father is being glorified, your obedience is as an example for somebody you don't even know. There are people watching you that you don't even know. And when we get to the kingdom and we're going under the tree of life to eat of that delicious fruit and drink of that water of life from the river of life, somebody gonna walk up to you and say, I remember you. I remember when you took your stand and that inspired me to take my stand for the Most High. And you're going to say, what? Yeah. You used to work at such and such a place. You didn't see me? You remember me? No, I don't. Yes, I saw you take your stand. I saw you stand firm for the Most High. I saw you stand firm for his word. And it caused me to be encouraged to look into what is it you follow, because I had to find out where you get that strength from. And it caused me to be saved. People that you don't even know. Don't worry. You don't even see them. You don't see them. The Bible said we are a spectacle unto men, unto Yah, and unto angels. You don't even see them. That's what I'm saying. Don't ever be afraid. Once the Father gives you his spirit, stand. Don't worry. You're not alone. And if you have to suffer, your suffering is not in vain. Messiah's suffering was not in vain, brethren, and neither will ours be. If we got to suffer, somebody's going to come as a result of our suffering. Don't worry about that. And guess why you should give praise to Father Yah? Because when it happens, somebody's going to be saved as a result of it. Never his suffering servants suffer for nothing. The precious in the sight of Yahweh is the blood of his saints. He don't give the devil no glory by killing you or me or having us suffer for nothing. How many people have come to the truth as a result of reading the book of Job? That's why I say, Messiah said, rejoice because they persecuted the prophets before you. And great is your reward, because brothers and sisters, nobody suffers for the Father Yah without somebody coming to the truth. This is just 100% accurate. Always. Or he won't allow you to suffer. He'll deliver you. And that will cause people. But he's not going to let the devil get no glory on us. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Deuteronomy chapter 13. From verse 15 to verse 18. Thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof, with the edge of the sword. And thou shalt gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof. And thou shalt burn with fire the city, and all the spoil thereof, every whit, for Yahweh thy most high, and it shall be in heap forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall cleave naught of the cursed thing to thy hand, that Yahweh may turn from the fierceness of his anger and show thee mercy and have compassion on thee, and multiply thee as he has sworn unto thy fathers, when thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy most high, to keep all his commandments, which I command thee this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh thy most high. Yes, brethren. Now, let me just say this. While we don't have license to go kill anybody, to break up anybody's churches, to break up anybody's city, because we're in our enemy's land, what you think Messiah going to do when he comes back? How you think he's going to handle this whole system when he come back? How you think he going to feel? Is he going to just love everybody? Just forgive everybody? Just accept everybody as they are? The whole rainbow and the alphabet soup and all of the politicians and all of the perpetrators, just going to love everybody? You see, tell the truth now. Tell the truth now. Don't people make you think, well, we just read this. That's Old Covenant. That's Old Testament. God is not like that no more. He's not. Jesus loves everybody. He came and died for everybody. He loves everybody. This is God in the Old Testament. Apparently, they must not have read what we just read in Galatians. They must not have read Revelation 22. They must not have read that. Apparently, they must not have read Revelation 19. Or the parable of Messiah say, take all those that wouldn't follow me and slay them before me in the parable in Matthew. Apparently, they didn't read those things. See, that's why we say, brethren, read Genesis to Revelation and everything in between. And you'll get the complete story of the Father. You'll get the complete story of how he feels about things. And you'll understand he doesn't change at all. Messiah was set forth as the mercy seat. And he has sent us forth as ambassadors for Messiah to beseech people, be reconciled to Father Yah. Now's the time. Because soon it's going to be too late. Okay? Well, now it's 13. Now you understand why we had to go through all that other stuff to understand what idolatry is, to understand obedience in the spirit, righteousness by faith, to understand, Shadrach, Meshach, and the bad Negro. So we had to understand all of that to understand why he felt like this and why he's telling us not to practice idolatry. Okay? From the word of the Most High. Okay. Praise the Most High. Tomorrow, chapter 14. Chapter 14, we go into the dietary laws, chapter 14. It's going to be powerful, man. I'm telling you right now. Praise the Most High. It's going to be powerful. Brethren, sisters, read this word right here. Start in the beginning, Genesis. You go all the way through to the back of it, all the way through to here, Revelation. Read everything in between. Pray to your Father Yah. Pray to your Father Yah for his spirit of perfect righteousness by faith. And he will guide you through. And he will bless you. And when you finish, take you about a year. When you finish, do it again. Keep doing it. Do it again. I'm in Ezekiel right now. I'm going through Ezekiel, and I'm almost done. I'm hoping to be done with the Old Testament by January sometime, and then February, March, finish the New Testament, which is much shorter. And then by the end of March, be done. So April is a new year. We start over again. That's the new year for the Hebrew. Really, they call it April. It's the new year for the Hebrew. Praise the Most High, Hebrews. Keep it doing this, sister. Keep doing it. Keep doing it for the Most High's glory. Keep doing it. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Keep doing it. All right. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shabbat shalom to the nation. Shalom.